Welcome back. I know you've seen videos of him already at R2, but today we're going to rank up Sasquatch. I'll show it to you. And we're going to look at some of his synergies. Obviously, this one with Sabertooth. I mean, that was a glorious Saturday, right? The CCP showed us how amazing Sabertooth was for a couple hours. The Hulk one, I think that's really good. I think it is good for Sasquatch, but I didn't have Hulk highly ranked, so I haven't really tested that one out yet. I want to test realistic stuff. The next one I did want to show was Squirrel Girl there. That's a nice synergy for Squirrel Girl, and I am going to show that having his rupture effects last longer. I mean, that I think takes a little bit of pressure off on trying to refresh them. And then this Hulkbuster one, I really like this one. Having the Wrath to Tanarak last longer, that's your big damage phase. You're getting to really throw off a lot of specials. That's a big deal. And it's not bad for Hulkbuster too. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I hope you enjoy, like, subscribe. And if you're not, you're used to this. We don't mess around. I never enjoyed seeing champions get ranked up. Like I know what that looks like. That's not why I tuned into this. Like, unless you have some sort of key information for me, just speed it up. Like, yeah, it's there because I want to see it. But the reason I'm even doing this at all is I want to give credit to two of our subscribers for providing a lot of awesome information and constructive criticism on the comment section. The first is Germazoid. Had a pretty detailed discussion with him. He showed me even some spreadsheets on things on how to improve my Sasquatch play. I really appreciate it. And then of course Logic. There was a bit of a back and forth there with him on the comment section. I really appreciate it. Way to go to both of you. Thanks so much. And if you've been paying attention to the channel for a while, you know I want to love this champion. So thanks for helping me figure him out a bit more. Now let's get into it. So you're probably wondering, what was that advice? Well, we're going to take a look at it as we fight Realm of Legends, Captain Marvel. I was doing pretty well against them, but Logic kept telling me, look, you really can speed this up. I can do this in significantly less hits than you're doing it. Germ, sorry buddy, I knew I'd butcher it, said the same thing. And they had very similar points, which is get closer to your SP2 before you throw your SP1 to refresh the ruptures. And that made a lot of sense to me once I thought about it. There's other champions like that, right? Where you really want to maximize your time in your damage phase. And you're about to see why. Slow this down, 50k, 50k, and then the 3k, you know. That's pretty darn good. And we're going to see better here as we go. So I'm letting myself get a lot closer to the SP2. What I was doing is I wasn't realizing how long the ruptures are actually staying on there, on the opponent. And remember, we have the Squirrel Girl synergy too, which increases those by I think it was 20 or 30%. It's a good amount. And so they're staying on there even longer. We're about to see it come up again. We're at 8 ruptures now, coming in for the SP2. Unfortunately, only one of them is going to crit, but it's crits for 70,000. Can you imagine if 2 of those crit, or if this was an R3? I'm getting ideas. So it's just going to be a lot of rinse and repeat. There's also, I think, a technique there to help you get into your specials a little quicker if your opponent definitely blocks. Realm Legends is always an awkward place for me as far as testing out an AI. I do always have concerns too because they're not throwing the special 3s. But with Sasquatch, your specials and your heavies in the Wrath of Tanarak, bring them back. Here comes the big finish. Another 70k crit. I'll finish up with the 6. Look at the total hits. Logic, it's on you now, buddy. I know you can beat it. And now we're going to move on and take a look at a utility that I don't think is often talked enough, at least not about Sasquatch. All right, so here we are in this month's side quest. It's, you know, the one that's supposed to be harder than Cavalier. I think it's called Herald. Last month it was called Canadian. Anyway, so here's what I don't think is talked enough about this guy is he has a tremendous amount of health. You can see the perfect block synergy coming in. Like I said, we're going to talk about those more and more. He has a tremendous amount of health, and if you're like me, you make mistakes in this game. And as much as I love a good blast cannon, Stark Spidey, hello, I don't like the fact that if I take a combo, I'm going to die. So you can see I play fairly well here, but I mess up a few times. Took a special to the face there, and I'm still at 67% health. This guy can take a beating, and no one really wants to say like, hey, look, watch me take punches to the face and I still live. But I think that's an advantage to this guy. I'm also not sure if he loves trees or he hates trees. There's a strange dynamic there, and I think we can dive into that more later. I'm curious to hear your thoughts. But in all seriousness, this shows you when you can't play your perfect rotation. I'm not stacking up those rupture debuffs perfectly here. I'm going to end up wasting almost a whole Wrath of Tanarak. But I've got the evades down well again. I'm going to throw the SP3, well, not that well, I guess. I'm going to throw the SP3, which is going to bring me back to the Wrath of Tanarak. And then watch how this goes. I mean, how many specials have I taken here? And we're still at 65% health. Captain Marvel movie can do some decent damage. So he's coming on in. The Wrath of Tanarak is going. We've taken a beating. We're whittling her down. We are going to place a heavy, which will place a stagger on her, and you'll see how much power we're going to get back from that because of her buffs that are going to trigger. And then we finish it off with the massive SP2. I mean, sure, it wasn't the 100,000 ones that we were just looking at, but it's more than enough to finish off what's supposed to be the harder than Cavalier quest from our R2 Sasquatch. I love this guy. There's going to be much more gameplay from him coming out. And thanks again to Logic and Germazoid. Hope everyone's having a great day. Take care.